Hello, this is Hannah Balos EC 103 Weekly Summary. First, I'm going to discuss the last two replies from the discussions of the previous week. So here we go. Discussion shift happens. These two videos signify that our world is changing and how we obtain content, how we learn, uh, how much information we could get from various places comes from, and so how we learn in school from 20 years ago to now has changed dramatically, and the various forms of content we have is kind of crazy. So I always think sometimes we have too much information thrown at us, and we really need to decide what we want to use and think about and read about more, and then what do we need to block or that is not relevant to what we need to do, or if it's bad information. So I know a lot of people discuss the changing world, and next we discussed quantum computers. So a lot of people ask questions about this technology because, none of us have seen it, dealt with it too much. We only have information provided by from different sources, from universities to industry leaders about this. And so a lot of classmates and I ask questions about, will this help security as it claims cybersecurity, or will it damage cybersecurity where we'll have to make a new security code for everybody, or like how will this thing help us or hurt society? Do we need to will this be in our lives in the next 10 years? I personally did not think that was possible, but for sure 10 years or maybe 15 years, people will be able to interact with it with their current computers, but I don't think each individual will own their own quantum computer, because they seem very expensive to produce and house. But who knows? And it's good to ask questions about any new technology and how it will affect our lives. So next we discussed, the discussion for this week was the 4-hour work week. And a lot of people thought the title of this book was a little gimmicky, where 4-hour work week is not necessarily achievable, especially if you're trying to design and build a business. Maybe after you sell the business, you can have a 4-hour work week, but to actually build and research what you want to sell in the open marketplace, like all this research, and to see if you can get investors for your product. This will take a lot more than 4 hours per week, in my opinion, and a lot of people agreed. But yeah, so everybody has some kind of idea, or some people might think they have a great idea, but unless you get out there and research and ask people to buy your product, or would you buy this product if somebody built it. You just need a lot of data, because you might think it's a good idea, but others might not be so into spending money for your idea. And there's a lot of work effective, not efficient, and other quotes like that that I think everybody wants to do, but it takes a lot of learning curves, I think, to truly work the most efficient and effective as possible, and get away from, oh, well, I spent 10 hours on something, that means I worked hard on it. I don't know, it's one of those things that I don't think is learned. It's something you have to better yourself on. So then we also had VR systems discussion, and I shouldn't say discussion, neat resource. And a lot of people showed how VRs are really cool right now and things like that. But I really like Jason's post about, we think of VR systems as something you use for video games or just for entertainment purposes, but we can actually use this to sell products. And shown in this video where you could have a 3D model ready to go without having to build it, without having prototypes, and instead of a 2D screen of a map of the product, you could show somebody what it'd look like in real life scale, how it functions, how it operates. And I thought his neat resource was pretty cool. I talked about, instead of like VR systems, I talked about using 3D technology that we could actually touch and feel, from this TED Talk by Sheen Fulmer. And I think that's really neat, because we're still human beings that like to be tactile, and we still like to play with things. We don't always want to look at a screen, or as in a VR case, we don't always want to be attached to some goggles looking at things around us. So I do think that it will be cool to interact with our devices more and touch them, feel them, instead of always looking at a screen. Now, the time spent this week. So the replies to 2 discussions took me 90 minutes. Discussion about the 4-hour work week took me 41 minutes, and the neat resource took me 20 minutes. And that was a total of 2 hours and 52 minutes. Thank you for listening, and